From Wall Street to Main Street, this is Lalate.
It's a big night of evenings Lalate. A huge night as $1,400 third stimulus checks have landed in bank accounts, but now monthly fourth stimulus checks, potentially also $1,400, could be landing in your bank account every month till at least December, if not a year after the pandemic. It's the single biggest payout you've ever seen on this channel, and I have it detailed now. The fourth stimulus check and fourth stimulus package, the latest update. And boy, you have been asking for the next one, and away we go. A major update about SSI reform. Yes, a major new letter revealed overnight, in which a series of congressional leaders call on a change for SSI reform that could give you more money. It's really exciting news, and it's the news you have been asking for since October of last year. I have the letter. You'll see the letter, you'll see the signature, and you'll see all the details at hand. Also, I'll be going over the other money that's heating up this week. The $6,000 from Ron Wyden, the remainder of $10,000 EIDL grant, the push for student loan debt forgiveness to happen, what happened with that, and I have the latest details of more, and also what's happening with the shuttered venue grant. Is it still shuttered? Or are they changing the drapes? It's a big night, from whether it is forced stimulus to finally SSI and SSDI reform. Away we go into a big night. This is Evenings Lalate. It's a beautiful evening, and I hope you are safe and calm where you are. It is a big night, and this recording has a lot in it. I'll be going over the fourth stimulus, the monthly stimulus checks. I'll be going over a new letter from Elizabeth Warren about the wealth tax and a call upon a leading dissenter about the situation and what she has called for it. Remember, the wealth tax is the item that could pay for your SSI of $2,400. I have that letter for you in this recording. Then I have another letter in this recording in which dozens of congressional leaders have called upon a major reform to the SSI, SSDI, Social Security and Railroad Benefits program. I'll go over what they're proposing and how it works. It's the biggest news you have heard on this subject since fall of 2020, and I have the letter and the signatures. We will go over it together as a family. Also, Amazon wants to do your hair. Literally. Nancy, did you hear that? Amazon is opening a hair salon. Yeah, if you hear that scampering, that's Nancy rushing to the store. There's a new Amazon hair salon coming to a store near you. I'll have all the hysterical details. It's a great night with a lot of fun. Thank you for joining me on Evenings LA. If you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Also like this video. And if you've not become a member, consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Calcino VIP. There's so much in this recording. Let's first start with fourth stimulus. Fourth stimulus is heating up this week as the Republican counterproposals are falling upon deaf ears for obvious reasons. They don't want to do climate. The president says he has to do climate, so away we go to reconciliation. Viewers of this channel now understand the path for reconciliation. The vote will be called for the fourth stimulus package, also called the American Jobs Plan, or the Infrastructure Bill, or the Recovery Act, depending on which hour of the day you're tuning into this channel, and the president changed the name. The bill will be called for a vote around July 4th, no later, says Speaker Pelosi and Leader Schumer. But here's what the viewers of this channel have learned from me. That it's a 2-month process for reconciliation. They got to start the 2 months ahead of time, and we're pushing up on the start of that 2-month window right away. So the push to do for stimulus by reconciliation has to start within the next few days. The president's doing optics of making it look like he's trying to reach bipartisan support, but the Republicans have made very clear what their counterproposal is. No climate. And no climate means that there's no deal. No climate means removing climate from the forced stimulus package. President's not going to do that. Not doing $2 trillion, President's not going to do that. And reducing the infrastructure bill to $600-800 billion, President's not going to do that. Yesterday on this channel, I detailed what the President called a bipartisan negotiations. You can sort of, Sir Lloyd had a laugh about that. I still can't even look at the video without laughing. It wasn't bipartisan negotiations. It was, in the room was Mayor Pete, Secretary Yellen, and then 3 other people on the other side. That's not a lot of people to do bipartisan negotiations. 3 people in a room, of which we didn't recognize the other 3. So not particularly fruitful for bipartisan negotiations. But remember, forced stimulus, monthly stimulus checks does not come from the president. It comes from the senators and the House members who are Democrats. It does not come from the Republicans either. Let's go over the big moolah at issue and how this pans out and how it works to the finish line. First, forced stimulus has to go by either Senate route or House route. The manner of which it is starting a 2-month process. That 2 months process involves first doing the procedural item, which is which at that point is just to decide upon a reconciliation, and then coming back and doing the substantive. Let's go over the substantive part of the bill, which would be step 2. The House members want to give you a stimulus check for the remainder of this pandemic every month, and then 1 year thereafter. So let's say this pandemic lasts 6 more months. They're going to give you 6 months of checks, and then 1 year thereafter. The senators want to give you stimulus checks between now and December. So less checks for the senators, about 6, versus the House members, about 18 checks. Who are the members at issue? House members are progressives. They're junior members of Congress. Senators are senior members of Congress. And how much does the monthly check differ? House members want to pay you $2,000 the first month, $1,000 thereafter. So you're looking at about $18,000 per person over 18 months. Senators, we don't know the amount, but word on the street is the senators want to pay you more money over a shorter period of time. Less checks, more money. So word on the street says the senators want to pay you $2,000 a month, which over 6 months would be $12,000, or $1,400 a month, which over 6 months would be $8,400. Again, this is over a shorter period of time, but faster money. So you're seeing with the senators $12,000 potentially over 6 months versus the House members $18,000 over 18 months. Here's a series of questions that people have asked over the last few days, and they're important in lieu of what's coming up later in this broadcast. Is this taxable? No. Does it count towards SSI and SSDI benefits? No. Does it put you over the threshold? No. It's simply a stimulus check. It's not a taxable event, so it doesn't trigger any cause of concern. Moreover, people have been asking me sporadically, like on social media, how would they send the money to you? I have always said they're going to likely do it by a debit card, and the debit card would just refund itself every month. It's how it was proposed by then Senator Harris and then Senator Sanders in 2020. So that is where we're starting. Here's what you need to know, is that the fourth stimulus package has really incredible support. There's no support I've ever seen like this anywhere. And that support would basically mirror the following path. First, the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, would start the reconciliation process with the agreement on the procedural bill that says we're going to do recon. Send it to the House floor, vote, and finish. Off to the Senate, vote, finish. Off to the President, sign it. That point, the tow truck has passed over the finish line. Nothing substantive, just procedural. Then she sends the tow truck back to the Senate, to the House, to do the substantive part, the tow hitch. Onto the tow hitch puts everything the president wants to have. Roads, infrastructure, climate, tax increases, anything else they want to add in there. Now, on Sunday, a new Political report says that Nancy Pelosi's closest ally, which she secretly keeps under wraps, is House Member Omar. And House Member Omar is among the 100 plus House members who have written the president saying we're demanding monthly stimulus checks. So do you think Speaker Pelosi will put in there those monthly stimulus checks because of so many Democrats wanting them in there? She could. Viewers yesterday asked me, how would that then work? Well, if they call for a vote and it passes, then off to the Senate. The Senate will modify anything they want to modify. And here's what you need to know about the Senate process. It's not a very normal process. It's totally different than anything else you normally hear on this channel. It's called a vote-a-rama. And the vote-a-rama is 2 days. It does not involve bills. So you're not going to see a PDF of what a senator is going to do weeks ahead of time, months ahead of time, even the day ahead of time. There's actually no bills. They're amending what they received from the House. And what they're amending is by amendments. Do they release those amendments ahead of time? No, they do not. They keep them under cloak and dagger. They keep them secretive among their allies. They caucus privately among their fellow Democrats to know who's going to support this item, that they have enough votes. They don't tell the opponent, the Republicans, what is going to be in their amendment until they know exactly when and where they're going to call it for a vote. And then ambush time. Leader Schumer calls it for a vote exactly at the time at which he thinks it's going to pass. And they have a series of amendments that you may never have heard of, I may certainly have never heard of, that they're going to do to surprise everyone. So the lead up until you see the actual vote on the Senate floor for the monthly stimulus checks is going to be an element of secrecy to the very last minute. And there we go. And there we go. So with the president just continuing his bipartisan negotiations today, it's not going to really pan out any different between now and Thursday. And what's Thursday? Thursday is a climate conference. At that point, it very well details that the president's an advocate for climate. He's going to introduce a series of climate and potential executive orders for climate, which will signal that the president's commitment is to climate, and he's not going to remove climate from the fourth stimulus package. Now, before I get to the next story, which I know you're waiting with bated breath, the SSI reform, here's what I want you to understand about stimulus packages. The one we're currently doing now is what I call the fourth stimulus package. It is the infrastructure bill, the Recovery Act. There is a fifth stimulus. It's also called the America Jobs Act, the AJA or America Jobs Plan, AJP. That is the fourth stimulus. Okay. In September is the America Family Plan or America Family Act or something like that, also called fifth stimulus. The Family Act in the fall is to address concerns about families. Among the topics that's coming up in that provisions will be potentially more stimulus checks, number one. Number two, potentially extending that $300 a month for children under the age of 17 a lifetime. And then this. Yes. So yesterday, overnight, and again this morning, we saw a major shocker. A proposal to put into the fifth stimulus package in the fall, a revision to SSI and SSDI. Oh my goodness. Now you and I know that I tell things like it is. I don't sugarcoat it, I don't embellish it, and I don't dwindle it. I want to make something very clear with you before we start. What you're about to hear in this letter for SSI reform is categorically 100% not $2,400 of SSI and SSDI. It does not mention it in there, it is not in there, and it's likely not to be in there. Why? Because the provision is to be put into a package that starts negotiations in September and will likely not finish until October. The likelihood of the $2,400 is very slim at this point. If you're on SSI or SSDI, you qualify for these monthly stimulus checks under the fourth stimulus package of $12,000, $18,000, $10,000. It's 5, 6, 10 times more than $2,400. Would you rather get $10,000 over $2,400? Of course you would. But you and I know that over the last few weeks I've talked to you, there are other things that still remain from the Biden administration's promise to you. Increasing lifetime benefits and increasing and changing the benchmark from COLA to CPIE, so your benefits increase year after year. You remember that, and I told you he can do that by executive order. Those two things are what are in the letter today. Wow. This is very exciting news. This is very exciting news. So let me jump to the letter right now. And I know you may not have the ability to read this letter on screen because of its size and of its font, but I'm going to tell you what it says. So the letter dated this week calls on, just a few days ago, calls upon President Biden and Vice President Harris to make changes to the SSI program in the America Family Plan, or American Families Plan, the AFP, which again is fifth stimulus in the fall. Number one is to raise benefit levels above the federal poverty line. SSI offers, I'm reading from the letter, SSI offers a vital income floor for older adults as well as children and adults with disabilities. Approximately 8 million Americans receive SSI benefits. So it's proposing to raise the aggregate income level with the benefits phasing out at a higher rate than it currently is. In order to encourage work, in 1962, Congress established an $85 per month income exclusion in one of SSI's predecessor programs, Aid to the Blind. Shamefully, the modern SSI program maintains the same income exclusion from a half century ago. What does that mean? So as to the first step that the SSI reform is calling for under fifth stimulus is that it's saying that the income thresholds for working date back to the 1960s and have not been amended since 1960. That clearly the value of a paycheck in 1960 has far less value today in 2021 than it did in 1962. It is shocking that they've never modified this number, that they're keeping people at 1962 levels. So that's provision number one that could allow you to actually generate income and still stay on SSI and SSDI. Number two, eliminate the marriage penalty and in-kind maintenance support rules that reduce benefits to those who receive shelter, meals, and groceries for families and friends. It specifically cites the president's campaign promises. Oh, boy. Yeah, are you shaking your head at this point? Are you doing I told you so? Are you doing I told you so? You promised this during the campaign. Keep your promises. Well, guess what? All these incredible congressmen have said, keep your promises. And now they're putting it in writing. Oh boy. And they're putting it in writing in April, not in January of this year. They're putting it in writing now. Let's go to the other provisions of what is detailed in this SSI reform. Page 2 of the SSI reform bill. It then calls for, let me go over this, that would include modifications for people on disability and economic equality. By strengthening the SSI program, you'll be taking strong and necessary steps to alleviate poverty that disproportionately impacts disabled people. So here are the provisions so far. Let me explain them again one at a time. Number one, raise benefit levels above the federal poverty level. Number two, increase the SSI asset limit and index it to inflation going forward. So this is the new benchmark. Remember how I talked about benchmark 9,000 times on this channel, currently tied to COLA. This benchmark would tie it to the inflationary rate. Okay, not CPIE, but actually the inflation rate. It says over the last several decades, SSI has been permitted to downgrade. So SSI's asset limit, last updated in 1984, restricts recipients to $2,000 in accountable resources, $3,000. Because this limit is not indexed to inflation, it grows steadily more draconian each year. Lifting the asset cap is long overdue and is part of your campaign commitments. And it actually cites the line of the campaign document, which I read on this channel for months. Then the third provision is to update income exclusions and index them to inflation going forward. And finally, eliminate the marriage penalty for in-kind maintenance and support rules across the board. Boy, this says a lot for a lot of people. And one of the things that it does say is that the president needs to keep his promises. Here's the signature pages. One page of signatures, another page of signatures. This means so many things at such a time. It first means, number one, You're committed to raising people out of poverty. You talk ad nauseum about raising children out of poverty. Let's raise people on who are elders and people who are on disabilities out of poverty. They have been indexed to a benchmark dating back to the 1960s. That's not fair. It's time to change the benchmark and raise them out of poverty. Number two, it shows that congressional leaders, Democrats, have no qualms in telling the president to step up and hold your campaign promises. We're now referring to the fifth stimulus package, not the third in January, not the fourth in the summer now. We're talking about the fifth. They're saying, hey, okay, you're on to the next one. It's time to do this one. And this is families. This is families. Let me go over one last thing, which is important in this letter. What's important also in this letter is that the president can do this by executive order. Ironically, the letter is calling for, it says, we specifically urge you to indicate your support for the following SSI program reforms in the America Family Plan. This has a lot of implications to it for purposes of this fall stimulus. Number one, I've always told you that you don't need a bill for this. You can do it by executive order. So it's not particularly clear why these congressional leaders think that the president should put it into a bill and call it for a vote and call for bipartisan support. Just do it by executive order. Just do it by executive order. Instruct the commissioner heads to change the benchmark, to change the limits. Why do we need a bill for it? Number two, it is very good in that you heard me, I think it was in January, February, saying there was talk that the president was trying to do these reforms next year, 2022. And then I said, you know what? This is just taking too long. Get it done now. So here there is a mindset to get it done sooner rather than later. It's all really incredible, great news. And I'm not done with that. I got more news for Elizabeth Warren coming up. I have more news about the grants. I have more news about other stimulus. It's a big recording. Stay with me. I'll be back in about 60 seconds. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LA Late Daily for the excitement of the new LA Late live daily. The excitement starts on mornings LA Late at 9 a.m. Home LA Late returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LA Late at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LA Late. And the excitement continues on LA Late in 2 hours from now with LA Late Night, our irreverent, non-informational, humor-only broadcast with Sir Loin and Javita Late. I'm sure they're going to circle back one more time, and they're going to address a range of issues. It's going to be a big broadcast. I'm so glad you're here. If you've not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Also like this video, and if you've not become a member, consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP. Let's try to do 3,000 likes. It's our 1 year anniversary in just a couple of days. April 25th. We're trying to get to 400,000 subscribers. We're really close. Let's try to do it. Tell your friends, your neighbor, your alpaca, your pet llama to subscribe. And away we go. And if you see me in the live chat, say hi, how are you? Boy, here is this letter. Elizabeth Warren. Elizabeth Warren wrote a new letter, and that new letter is to Leon Cooperman, who's head of the Omega Family Office. He has been one of Elizabeth Warren's dissenters when coming to the wealth tax issue. The wealth tax issue is one of the major bills that Elizabeth Warren has introduced in 2021 that would fund SSI and SSDI $2,400 if it got to a vote. During her campaign for president in 2020, she was asked, how are you going to pay for $2,400 of SSI and SSDI? She said a wealth tax. And she said, I'm going to introduce a wealth tax bill. She did introduce the wealth tax bill. And away we go. That excitement heated up about a month ago on this channel when I first detailed to you that SSI $2,400 would have its funding possibility now with a wealth tax bill introduced by Elizabeth Warren. Well, Warren, in a new letter obtained by Lalate, writes Leo Cooperman to come to Congress to speak on April 27th about her wealth tax bill because he's a dissenter of the plan, and she wants to hear his opinion. She encourages his attendance by Thursday, April 22nd. Here's what I find interesting about the letter. It's a publicly released letter. It's not a privately released letter. And the letter on the header says that among the committees she sits on is a special committee on aging. Yes. So if you ever wanted to know where to push for SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, and similar issues, there is an actual special committee on aging, AGING, in the Senate. Moreover, it actually says at the end of the letter, if you have any questions regarding this hearing, please do not hesitate to contact one of my staff members at this email address. So it actually provides an email address to contact Elizabeth Warren's top staffer if you have an opinion about anything. I think you have an opinion about something. So if you're a member of this channel, you are getting a copy of Elizabeth Warren's PDF with that email address if you want to contact Elizabeth Warren to push for multiple stimulus checks, which she so wants to do, and push for student loan debt forgiveness, which she wants to do, and push for SSI and SSDI Social Security and railroad benefits reform, which she wants to do. Yeah, it's a very good broadcast. I told you this is a good one. And with that, it's time to celebrate, don't you think? Let's go get our hair done, Nancy. Can't believe I'm doing this, but away we go. Yes, this is not an April Fool's joke. Amazon is moving into the hair salon business. People in San Francisco hair salons are up for... San Francisco hair salons are going to regret having congressional leaders there because now they can go to the Amazon salon. Amazon announced today that it's opening its first ever hair salon in East London, which is based upon an e-commerce platform. It'll initially be only for its work employees, but will slowly open up to the public. And it features, this is not Nancy, but it is a picture released by Amazon. It features first ever point-and-learn technology where you can get a digital recreation, an augmented reality of your hair color before getting it done. Yeah, imagine the impact it could have. Augmented hair. Yes, augmented reality before you change the hairstyle. We have designed the hairstyle for customers to come and experience some of the best technology, hair products, and stylists in the industry. We want this unique venue to bring out some step closer to customers, and it'll be a place where you can collaborate with the industry and test new technologies. The purpose for bringing it up in this broadcast is just showing that American businesses are trying to diversify. And that as businesses reopen, as the American economy start to reopen, international economies start to reopen, you're going to see businesses diversify in ways we never would have thought possible. Yesterday, I detailed that Coca-Cola beat on earnings reports, but also said they're raising their beverage prices. That did not rest well upon viewers' ears, but it signals that beyond just raising prices of existing businesses, diversification may be part of the issue. We also saw that earlier last week as Coinbase went IPO with the biggest IPO of the year, and many say that Coinbase will have to diversify because it's currently only a transactional business. Let's cut back to the big exciting news about forced stimulus and that forced stimulus check. What's important to understand is that if you're on SSI and SSDI, you qualify for this. If If you are a veteran, a Social Security, you qualify for this. If you make less than $2,400, if you make less than $75,000 individual, you qualify for this. If you're a household of 4 or less, you qualify for this. You need to push, Purple Power. You need to push, because we are pushing up on that 2-month time frame for reconciliation. Hashtag MSC, hashtag Purple Power. Look at this payout. This is the biggest single payout you'll ever see potentially in the history of this channel for a single individual. Yes, this is just for a single individual. If the senators do this from July to December, and word on the street is correct, of $2,000 or $1,400 a month, it would pay you $12,8400. Remember, the Senate plan is a shorter period of time till December, whereas the House plan is a longer period of time, but with smaller monthly stimulus checks. And with that, I hope you enjoyed the big shocking revelations of today's breaking news. It was a day in which there was a lot of things happening, and a lot of things will be happening tomorrow as well. Enjoy that. And if you want to laugh, then join me back in 2 hours from now as LA Late Night heats up. Circle back around. I'll take you first, and I'll take him next, and I'll take her then. And we'll have a range of issues which we will discuss. Stay informed, stay focused. If you've not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Also like this video. And if you're not become a member, consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Calcino VIP. And if you are a member, look to page 2 of that Elizabeth Warren letter to get guidance on who to contact. Stay informed, stay focused, and stay of LA for more.